you're doing good. If you've been following me, then guess what? You're an OG, baby. Yes, you are. And if you're new, welcome. I'm so happy you decided to join us on this crazy ride. Yes, I am. So, honestly, today I was going to bring y'all a different story time, but I was in the shower, I was just scrub-dub-dubbing, and I was like, you know what? They've been asking me how I met my husband, so it would be the perfect opportunity to tell them. So I am trying so hard to look right here and not look right there because I'm so used to it. Because people are like, you need to turn your phone sideways. So it's a struggle, but I do it for y'all, Skymar Nation. I do it for y'all. Okay, so obviously, like I stated, my story time is going to be about how I met my husband. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so to be honest with y'all, I actually already knew my husband before we ever started dating. And the reason why I knew him is because him and my ex did work at the same location, and they were acquaintances, friends, whatever you would like to call it. Now, they were friends, acquaintances, whatever you prefer to call it. My husband says acquaintances, whatever. So, we used to go over there, and they would work on their radios in their cars together and stuff like that. Well, when my ex and I broke up, and my kids and I went to a shelter to stay for a little while, and I ended up getting my own apartment within like 3 months, I got a little hankering to want to start trying to talk to Tommy, because I had heard he's a really good dude. I had been around him and stuff. And the funny thing is, my ex was actually telling Tommy to take my crazy ass off his hands, because that was my first love. So it took me about 1.5 years to get over him. Even after I started dating my husband and stuff, and that's just being perfectly honest. And my husband knew this. And so I asked my ex for Tommy's number. He will not give it to me. He's telling Tommy to take my crazy ass off his hands, but he doesn't want to come off that number. So how I actually got Tommy's number is, this sounds so Jerry Springer like, but I had let my ex's recently ex-girlfriend come stay with me for a little while, because she wanted to get away from him, and so she stayed with me, and that is how I ended up getting Tommy's number. Let's just say, when my ex found out I was talking to Tommy, he was not happy. He was not happy at all. He was pissed. I was like, oh, I thought you wanted him to take me off, my crazy ass off your hands. But you know how you might say you want something to happen, but then when it happens, you really didn't want that to happen? I just feel like that was one of them situations. But me and Tommy started talking. He come over and hung out with me. And back at this time, I had been smoking weed or whatever. So he came over and smoked a blunt with me. My husband used to smoke marijuana as well. Now, when I started dating Tommy, my ex was like, how could you get with my friend? I said, I thought you were trying to push us together, because at first he was, not only was he telling him to take my crazy ass off his hands, he was telling me that he didn't give a shit if I dated Tommy. So, yeah. But anyways, he's like, how can you date one of my friends and all this? And my husband told he goes, we were never friends. We were acquaintances that happened to sell weed, because, you know, back in the day, they both dabbled in a little of that, you know. That's when they were younger and stuff. Anyways, so he just was not happy with the situation, but we started dating and talking and stuff like that, and we ended up breaking up once. I broke up with him because I felt, with me still being in love with my ex, it wouldn't have been fair to him to continue the relationship. Well, we ended up getting back together a couple months later. So a few months later, well, more than a few months. I broke up with him in July. We got back together at the end of December. So we ended up getting back together, and I was still in love with my ex at this time too. And like I said, my husband knew that, but he wanted to work through it with me or whatever. So yeah. Interesting. But we started dating, and I hadn't seen my mom in, I want to say 3 or 4 years at this time. So Tommy had actually took me to see my mom, which that was a whole adventure in itself, because at that time my teeth were not in great shape. I had already found out years ago that they were going to end up deteriorating and I would be left toothless. However, they had started breaking off about age of 21. So I found out when I was 16 after I had my daughter, and they started breaking off about the age of 21. So my mom hadn't seen that yet, and halfway on the way there, about halfway, I was like, oh my God, my mom hasn't seen my teeth yet. She is going to ridicule me. And my husband's like, no, she's not. She's not going to do that. I said, you don't know my mom. Well, little to his surprise, as soon as we got to my mom's house, that was the very first thing she pointed out. Oh my God, what happened to your mouth? Gee, thanks, Mom. But anyway, so yeah, he took me to see her for the first time in years. Yeah, we got engaged pretty quickly. We had no business getting engaged that quick. We ended up getting engaged in January, so things were just moving so fast. I'm a relationship type, and you know, I was also trying to get over my ex and stuff, so I guess that's sort of, it was a messed up situation, okay? It sounds way worse than it actually is. But that is the story time of how I met my husband. There's not really much to it. Little short story time. If y'all want me to get in any details about anything, like how he proposed, because that's funny, let me know. And let me know if y'all have any more ideas for story times. Like, I have so many, I just gotta sit back and think of them. I've got way better ones than this, but I really just gotta sit, because a lot of my stories do have my ex in it, and I've been trying to refrain from mentioning him in my videos, especially if it's going to shed him in a bad light. But in order to tell how I met my husband, I sort of had to mention that. And this is when we were all younger, so none of this matters anymore anyways. I need to stop saying a lot, because I noticed that I do that. Christina, stop that. Yes, I have pep talks for myself. You got to, girl, you got to, okay? Don't judge, don't judge. But if you're not following me here on YouTube, baby, what are you doing? Join the fam, bam. Skymar Nation would be lucky to have you. And if you're not following me on either of my TikTok accounts, you totally should. Our family has grown so much on one of my accounts. We're at like 41K supporters, so yay, that's exciting. So I will leave those linked in my description. And just, y'all are awesome. And I love y'all so much, Skymar Nation. Until next time, bye!